Okay, so in this lesson we're going to create a IK or a pull vector for our IK control, and that's going to let us adjust the angle of the elbow rather than using the twist attribute that we have here to control it. So what we're going to do is create a control. I have this shelf. If you want it to, it will be on my Patreon or on my courses for my students. I'm going to use an arrow. Basically, the arrow just goes through the process of creating a curve and clearing the selection. So the arrow, if I click on it, creates this arrow here for us. Now, for this, basically, I want it to be lined up between these two joints on the plane. What I'm going to do is creating a plane with all of these here. I'm going to select all the three of the joints, select the control here, and then I am going to go to Constraint, and we're going to go to Parent. We're going to go to All and tell it to not maintain offset. Apply, and you'll see that it lines it up here in between everything. And I'm going to undo that really quick. I do want to make sure that it, actually, never mind. I'm going to keep it the way we had it. So I have it there. Now let's delete. Let's go to edit. Or sorry, not edit, sorry. Here in the curve, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. We have a naming convention for the controls, so let's make sure that that is named properly. So this is going to be the left arm IK, left IK arm pull vector control. Okay, so we deleted the constraints here. And if we look at it, it's moving on the X, kind of the way I want it to aim. And I want it to line up with this control so that way we don't have an offset. So what I'm going to do is say the target is this elbow control. This is the object to be constrained, and what I'm going to do is tell it that we are going to do an aim constraint. We are going to aim along the X, that's perfect. And maintain offset is turned off. Apply. There we go. So now if we just select the control itself, there we go. We can get the pull vector there behind us. And I'm going to make sure that I am just moving on this plane here, and I want to aim it to be right behind it. Okay, so I'm going to keep this aim because it's kind of cool because it actually aims towards the elbow here. But I want to make sure that I freeze the transformations here. So I do need to get rid of the constraint, but I'm going to reset it up here. I'm just going to freeze transformations here, or I can keep the transformations there and then do the zero offset group, so maybe that'd be a little bit better. But in this case, the control doesn't really need any offsets necessarily, so I'm just going to freeze transformations. But you got two options, unless you wanted some sort of offset groups for that. In this case, I don't think I'm ever going to need some. Oh, I do need it, because when we freeze transformations, you can see that the alignment changes here. And I want to make sure that it stays oriented this way. Okay, so I'm going to use the zero offset group there, and that keeps the angle lined up exactly the way we want it. Now in the offset group, because I don't want any keyframes here, I am going to do an aim constraint to this joint. So I'm going to select this joint, select the offset group, constrain, and aim. There we go. So this control will always aim towards that. Now I want to take the control. Actually, that's not going to work. Let's get rid of that constraint for right now, and we'll fix it in a moment. We got to do it on the actual control because we're going to be moving the control around. Okay, so I need to set up the pull vector. Let's do that now. So the target is the control. The object here is the IK handle. Let's go to constraint, and then we have a pull vector here. Let's look at the option box. That is all fine. Let's click add. And then let's turn on the original skeleton here and make sure that none of the offsets, if it is not offset, that the joints are exactly where they should be, and they are because of the way we lined it up. That is great. Now with this control, if we move it, you can see that it does move everything with it. Great. That is zeroed. So now let's turn off this skeleton here. And then what we're going to do is set up the aim constraints of this to this. And what we're going to do is constraint aim, and we'll keep all the properties that we had before. So now what you'll see is if we move this, the arrow is always going to be aiming towards this control. So this should be zeroed. But yep, it's practically zero, but it's slightly offset. But it doesn't matter for the control itself. What I'm going to do is lock and hide these controls here. There we go. So I have this control now, and if I zero out the transforms, we're good. We have the arm. Right now it is not controlling the IK handle. So let's do that. We're going to take the IK handle, and we are going to parent constrain it to this object here, the control. So let's get the IK handle for, actually the control first, then the IK handle. Let's just push Q so I can select it a little bit easier. There we go. And then I'm going to go to constraint, parent, that's fine. So now I can control this, and I can control this. Great. Okay, so let's do one final thing. This is the left-hand side controls. So I like to coordinate the controls from one side to the other. I'm going to make these blue for the left-hand side. So I have a script here that just makes it blue. If you want to do it manually, basically you just have to go to the control, go to attributes, then we want to go to object display, drawing overrides enable, and then select the color blue that you want, and then it will set that up. And looking at the script for all of these colors is essentially the same. I'll show you what the difference is here. Basically, we got a selection, we're saving that as a variable, then we're doing it as a loop so we can actually do multiple objects together. We're getting the shape node here, selecting the shape node. So both of these, basically we're selecting all of the relative items, and then we're selecting the listed items for the shape node. Then we're doing a set attribute for enable overrides, and then we're doing a set attribute for the color override. This number is the index number for the color on the slider. So we can set it as 6, that will be blue. And if we were to look at other ones here, so red, it's the same script except it has a different number here for red. So we can select both of these. Blue, in this case, we have blue control. Alright, so that is it for these controls right now. We'll see you in the next lesson. The next lesson we're going to take a look at doing a stretchy arm. So when we take this and we pull it out, we're going to be able to have stretch available. Alright, see you guys in the next lesson.